Welcome to my life map. My name is Ethan Eagle, and I will introduce you to some of my family members and the journey that I've been on over the last 36 years. In 1984, I was born in Louisville, Kentucky. My older brother, Chris, is in this photo with my dad and my mom. You can tell it was the era of awkward family photos, and I am this lovely child in the middle. In 1998, we moved to California, and I have sort of my first three memories. One is of very wide sidewalks, the 1989 California Bay earthquake, and my parents unfortunately divorced. In 1991, me and my father moved to Houston, Texas, where I first got my taste of aerospace engineering by visiting the National Aeronautics and Space Administration Johnson Space Center. In 1993, my dad and my new stepmom moved back to Kentucky, where I spent third to eighth grade. At the beginning of high school, we moved to Pennsylvania, and this is one of the more challenging periods of my life. I experienced some undiagnosed depression as we moved high schools multiple times, but eventually I ended up at a school where I joined the musical theater program and spent my junior and senior years pretty happily before I went to the University of Maryland for my undergrad degree in aerospace engineering. Following the end of my sort of high school and college romance, I left the university where I had been admitted into the PhD program and transitioned to a grad degree in aerospace engineering at the University of Michigan, and that occurred in 2008. And I had a number of transformative experiences while at Michigan. In 2010, while a PhD student, I joined the Innovatrium as a innovation fellow and consultant, a role that I've continued to sort of mature in my consultancy practice to this day. And in 2011, I went to my first SAPAC Speak Out. SAPAC stands for the Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Center. And it was there and through a number of ally workshops that I, prior to the Me Too movement, became aware of and started to contend with the fact that 1 in 4 women were sexually assaulted. Following my training in allyship, I had a number of family members disclose to me other negative experiences related to power-based violence, and I started to grow my practice in embracing diversity and inclusion and ways that I could be an ally. I finished my degree in 2012, spent a year as a postdoc at Michigan, and then in 2013 moved to California again. Interestingly, one city to the east of where I lived as a small child, in Livermore, California, from Pleasanton. And there, I spent a number of years. In 2016, I climbed, this is Half Dome in the background, and I was doing yoga pretty extensively at the time. At some point along this journey, I think in Kentucky, my little sister Grace was born. She has cerebral palsy, and so I spent some of my youth learning about disability and reckoning with sort of the differential treatment in schools that she would receive. And luckily, we ended up at a place where she had a good independent educational plan, and she graduated from high school 5 years ago, which was very exciting. In 2010, also while I was in Ann Arbor, I adopted my cat, the Professor Scratches. Let's see, where did I leave off? So I was in California. I left California and took a faculty job, a tenure track faculty line at Wayne State University, geographically not in the middle of Canada, actually down in Detroit, but this was already pretty congested. After a year of honeymooning and my tenure track role, I encountered some pretty significant difficulties in embodying some of the diversity and inclusion practices that I had sort of grown to become accustomed to, and actually terminated my employment. I resigned from Wayne State University and spent the summer of 2018 in China, where I applied for and was accepted as a lecturer at the University of Maryland again, sort of returning to home. And then in December of that same year, I asked to join the E4USA program. Following that, a couple fun pieces of trivia. I traveled to France in the summer of 2019. In the fall of 2019, I got to perform on stage in Carnegie Hall. And I traveled back to China. During that time, I was reading this book, What School Could Be, and that's inspired much of my work with E4USA. And I forgot to mention one other thing. While I was in Michigan, I traveled to Spain in the summer of 2009. That was my first abroad experience, and it really opened my eyes to just the different cultures that I had been unaware of. So that's everything from me. A fun fact, I can say the alphabet backwards really fast. ZYX, WVUT, SRQP, UNWK, JIHD, FEC, DBUA. Nice to meet you. Bye.